Thank you. Vámonos. 5-4. Your first day with Canelo in Vegas. What does it mean for you?
Amazing. I mean, we did Miami. You know, we've done San Antonio. We've done Dallas, but now first one in Las Vegas, Cinco de Mayo weekend. Very proud to be involved with a great fight, a very tough fight, very tough fight. And you know, Sal always confident, always ready, and looking forward to a fantastic weekend.
What are you expecting about Dmitry Bivol as part of matchroom boxing? And then for Canelo Alvarez, it's going to be who's next? Or what do you think about it?
You know, the thing is with Dmitry Bivol is he's very fresh. He's never been in a tough fight. He's always won his fights comfortably. He's very clever, he's big, he's strong, he has great footwork, he has good power. It's not an old fighter, you know, it's not a faded fighter. This is a guy in his absolute prime. They're very confident, and it's about how many levels Dmitry Bivol can rise, because we know this is the king of boxing, the pound for pound #1. And if you're not a pound for pound great fighter, you will never beat Canelo Alvarez. So Dmitry Bivol believes he is. This is, I think, one of the biggest challenges of Sal's career, and I expect a great fight.
How easy or how difficult is to work with Canelo, with all this atmosphere, Cinco de Mayo, September?
He just wants the champions. You know, he wants to keep taking the belts, and that's all he ever wants to do. You know, he's inspired, motivated to fight great fighters, great challenges. Amazing, going from 160, 168, 175, cruiserweight, who knows? But like I said, the difference in this fight, a very fresh Dmitry Bivol, a very good fighter, and you're going to see a tremendous boxing match between two great fighters.
Waiting and expecting for the result of this Saturday. Do you have a special clause with Eddie Reynoso about going to Europe next fight?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think everybody talks about the Triple G fight in September. Let's see what happens Saturday, and then we look to December as well. But honestly, you know, Dmitry Bivol is the kind of fight, if you start overlooking him, he can become a big banana skin. Very dangerous to start thinking what's next. Focused on Saturday and a tough fight.
Tell us about the undercard. What happened with Filip Garbovich?
Yeah, unfortunately his father passed away. We understand, and we have a replacement opponent for Zhang. We've got a brilliant fight with Montana Love coming in fighting Valenzuela, one of Eddie Reynoso's guys as well, and another fight as well with Gomez against Giasov, fantastic fight. Velasquez on the card, Mark Castro on the card, Espino on the card. It's a great night of boxing, lots of Mexican action for Cinco de Mayo weekend.
A message for the Mexican fans, do we have tickets or it's sold out?
Yeah, very limited tickets left this week, which will go very soon, but we're going to have a full sellout on Saturday. We're going to give you a great party, and make sure you tune in to what will be a great fight.
Finally, your opinion about Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano nowadays?
I mean, just saw the magazine, the fight of the century. You know, people are talking about one of the great fights ever at Madison Square Garden, and I believe we're going to get another one this Saturday.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Have you gotten that million from Jake Paul?
Sorry?
Have you gotten that
No, I said he can keep it. He can keep it. Winning's much sweeter than the money, you know.
Eddie, what is it about Canelo that brings out fans on a Tuesday with excitement? He's the king of the pay-per-view. What is it about? He's not a great fighter.
Because he's a one-off. You know, he's a generational fighter. The way that he fluctuates up and down the weights, all he wants to do is face champions. He'll never duck a challenge. His resume is incredible. And you only talk about great fighters and their resumes and their legacies when they've gone and when they've retired. So wait till they talk about Canelo Alvarez when he's gone. You know, for me, I think he's the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. I think he's going to go down as a pound-for-pound legend of the sport. But this is a very tough fight, Elliot. Very tough fight, because Dmitry Bivol is not old, he's not faded, he's not been in wars. He's young, he's fresh, he's been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. But to beat Dmitry Bivol, to beat Canelo Alvarez, you have to be a pound-for-pound great.
And Bivol makes no mistakes.
No, and he's got great footwork, he's got great power, he's got great size. But you're talking about a guy who's just different in Canelo Alvarez. Different in terms of his confidence, his ability. But it's going to take someone big, strong, like Dmitry Bivol to be competitive, because this guy's too good.
It's pay-per-view. I want you to tell everybody how they order it, how they get it.
Pay-per-view on DAZN and many other outlets as well. This is the pound-for-pound star of the sport in another thriller this weekend.
What do you make of looking past him? I just want to get your thoughts on Triple G's performance against you all.
I thought Triple G's performance was good. People are quick to criticise. He was out for over 400 days, right? He always starts slow. And he did start slow, and he had a couple of bad rounds. Then he went through the gears. Don't forget, he went to Japan and he unified against a world champion. So we'll see. Look, if we can get through this weekend, I'd love to make that trilogy. But first things first, if you start looking past Dmitry Bivol, it could be a big mistake.
What do you make of tomorrow, Usman practically begging for a payday?
Yeah, it's all right. Payday. I know that. look, Sal would fight Usman tomorrow. You know, they wouldn't even need a training camp. And Dana White wouldn't let Usman fight Canelo Alvarez because he'd get punished so bad. And he's talking about, yeah, but in the ring I'll do that. We're not in the cage. We're not. It's not. Canelo's not a cage fighter. He's one of the greatest boxers of all time. So, but Canelo makes all the decisions himself, and that's the great thing about his position. So, you know, all these people calling him out one by one. I'm sure he'll go through them all, but must focus on Saturday first.
Now, Jake Paul said he beats Canelo. I told that to Nate Diaz.
He said it. He was serious. 2 years he said he'd beat him. I admire the confidence. I admire the confidence.
What do you make of Floyd Mayweather always, fighting up to
Because Floyd doesn't like anyone to get close to his kind of legacy. Floyd's an amazing fighter. He's a pound for pound great. He's a pay-per-view star. But this guy's different. You know, in the respect of, he's just a different personality. He's much more humble. He's a man of the people. You know, but Floyd was a great star in his own right. He should embrace the next generation. There aren't any other pay-per-view fighters out there like Canelo Alvarez in America. They don't exist. You have to make a massive fight to even get close to doing half the numbers that Canelo Alvarez does. So embrace the guy. You know, you can hear I'm a big fan, but because he's a great fighter and he's a great individual and he's a massive star, sometimes carries boxing. We need nights like this. We need people like Canelo Alvarez to keep this sport blazing.
Would you like Canelo after, obviously you get your fighter to fight Canelo, you did a great job against Bivol and Triple G, but afterwards would you like to see Charlo and David Benavidez as a fan? Would that be the...
Yeah, I just think that Sal's the kind of guy, he wants to get something out of the fight. So with Bivol, he wants to dethrone him of his 175-pound world title. Benavidez, Charlo, there's no belts there for him to take. They're good fights. And I think he feels that those guys should also fight each other and make that fight as big as possible. People that criticise Canelo Alvarez's resume is absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like it. He will fight absolutely anyone, but he does like dethroning the champions.
Do you think Boo Boo should go face them after the Zach Parker?
Sorry?
Oh, Demetrius Andrade?
He's at 160, you know, at 168 he might have the interim title. He's pulled out now of that fight I saw yesterday, but look, Sal would have no problem fighting Demetrius Andrade, but what for? You know, just a defence? I can't remember the last time Sal made a voluntary defence of a world title. You know, he made one mandatory against Yildirim, and every other fight basically he's been against champions. Danny Jacobs, Kovalev, Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant. They've all been champions that he's dethroned.
Do you think Demetrius should face Charlo or like
anyone? But it's not Demetrius' fault. You know, he's up for those fights.
Yeah, what does Benavidez have to do? You know, Benavidez, Charlo, you know, that was bring up Canelo. What do they have to do?
Fight each other or have a big fight. And I like Benavidez. You know, I believe he wants to have big fights. I believe him and Jose Benavidez, but they're not having them. And he's a great fighter, and that's a huge fight. And I'm sure Canelo will fight him in time, but it would be great if he could get some good wins and make that fight massive.
Joe Smith bitter vibe winner, then you'll have one champion.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't forget Dmitry Bivol beat Joe Smith, like, wasn't even competitive. So this is what you're talking about levels here. It's very close between Dmitry Bivol and Beterbiev about who is the best light heavyweight in the world. But, you know, possibly we'll talk about Triple G next, and then maybe the undisputed at 175. I think if Canelo can become undisputed at 175 as well, that's an incredible achievement.
Any updates on AJ?
Next week, you'll get the date for him, yeah. All right? Cheers, guys.